Okay, the first example I want to play for you is from our good friend Joseph Haydn. And this is from the Surprise Symphony. And this is all major scale. Listen how, and this has actually been used as a children's songs over the year. See if you recognize this. Now, I want to stop it right there. Here's what we need to understand. This piece of music, while it's 700 years old, could fit right in to the popular music of today. And the reason for that is simple. First, it takes a simple melody line in a major scale that is soothing to what we hear. There's not much difference from what Lady Gaga or Katy Perry, Kelly Clarkson, Taylor Swift, any of Blake Shelton or Nickelback, whatever the popular music that you would hear coming out in the 21st century, using the same notes as Joseph Haydn. Now I'm going to play it from the beginning and again. Here's what I want you to listen to now. Don't listen to the melody. Listen to the one short note that's on the bottom. And it'll repeat, and then it'll move up, and then it'll go to a third note. Those are the three basic chords in this piece. And Haydn uses that form, those three bases of chords, to build the melody. Remember that we talked about foundation. Well, what you have is that you have the lower instruments. The lower instruments are the foundation for music. Everybody, when they listen to this piece, they're going to all remember that. Ba, 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 ba. That's your melody. That's the music that starts and goes somewhere. That's your horizontal music. But what makes this such a great example for a class like this to listen to is now I want you to listen to what's underneath it. Because what's underneath it actually spells out the structure of the song. And you could, I could easily say that millions of songs are based on the very base structure that you hear. I'll point it out to you. I'll conduct it, as it were, while we listen. So let's go back to the beginning. Play it again. Back to the beginning. Play it again. Variation. That's one time through. Do the whole thing again. Second note. Third note. Beginning. Hence the name Surprise. That big chord, everyone's like, whoa, what happened? That's the surprise. Alright, so what's happening there? Like so much music of the 18th century, moving into the 19th century, you would have a musical idea, the melody, and you would repeat it. And then you would do a variation, what we call a development. You would develop that idea, thematic development. Then what you would do is that you would take that music that's underneath it, and you would develop that as well. When we first hear it, you have dum, 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 and repeat it. Dum, 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 dum. That's the whole first section. And what's he do? He goes back and plays it again. And then he, boom, hits you with that really loud note. Oh, what happened? And that's for the people in the back that had a little bit too much wine before the reception, and they just got woken up. Surprise! Hence, the Surprise Symphony. Okay, I'll let you listen to it. It is in your listening folder in the second week. Enjoy that. That's an example of the major scale. That's an example of major music. Now, the surprise there is not that it was a sad and mysterious minor second interval, there was something scary going on musically. The surprise was that it was bang! Loud. That's dynamics. Again, talking about that. So let's continue with that. All right. Let me swing the camera back to the board. Okay, so moving on. The listening folder is going to be continuously growing. The idea is that I want you to hear music as we talk about it. And that Jaws theme, I'll add to the folder tonight when I get home. I'll put that in there because that's one of the best examples of using the minor second or the half-step interval in a piece that we've had in a while. And it's very easy to see how that can scare people. All right, so let's go to chapter 5. Key points, right out of the textbook. Texture refers to the interweaving of the melodic lines with harmony in music. Beautiful. All right, so let's talk about texture, and that goes right back to the listening folder. I got another piece for us. Let me go right to it. And cue up Fairphillips. This is an old English song. This was a hit. Now, for those of you that may have been paying close attention to the lyric, I hope I didn't offend you. I hope it wasn't too vulgar in any way. But what you need to understand is that this was a very famous piece of music, but it's hundreds of years old. And what you can see is that there's 4 distinct parts. And for example, here the tenor is moving down, the bass is moving up. Tenor moves down, bass up. Alto's coming down, here's a matching here, but you see this stays the same, this moves up. This is the texture, this is what we were talking about, the idea of the interweaving of parts. All right, let's go back to the board. Let's talk about this. Now, let me go to listen, and what I'll do here is I'll close this particular video on this topic. Here's what we want to talk about. S-A-T-B. Well, what is that, Mr. Smith? Soprano. Alto. Tenor. Bass. You just saw an excellent example, or listened to an excellent example of that with the John Farmer piece, Fair Phyllis, I Saw. And what you have, the high female vocals, soprano. The lower female vocals, alto. High male vocals, tenor. Bass. Did I really just say bass? Excuse me. Bass, lower male vocals. Now sometimes we call the bass baritone. A baritone, you'll see these parts split up. In other words, sopranos, you have first and second soprano. You might have first and second alto. You have first or lead tenor, second tenor. Then the bass, we would call the high bass baritone, and then bass. For the purposes of our class and of our test, here's what you need to know, SATB. Because not only are the voices of the human voices divided up like this, instruments in the orchestra are in this way, and we'll talk about this in upcoming lectures. Fair Phyllis had soprano, had alto, had tenor, had bass. All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to listen to the piece again. And this time I want you to choose a specific voice to listen to. And I'm going to cue up this same exact video, and what I want you to do is concentrate and looking at the one part. Even though you don't read music, that's all right, it doesn't matter. But by looking at the one specific part, it will give you the lyric that's being sung, and you can listen to the lyric. And as the lyric is sung, you'll be able to cue your ear in to what you're hearing. So try the second line, maybe the alto, or the third line, the tenor, and listen. Concentrate on one voice and listen to how that voice works with the others. So let's stop right there. Notice how in the last 20 or 30 seconds of the piece, you had different voices singing up and down, and then another voice up and down. Wandered here it's earlier, then it's down here. This is part of that texture. Well, what do you call that? We call that canon. And what we sing is, our another term for it would be a round. The one voice, they're imitating each other. One voice sings something, the other voice then waits, sings it back to them. And you have this intertwining of musical lyrics and musical ideas that are now being shifted from the soprano to the alto to the tenor and vice versa. And the bass can come in. Now notice that the bass, a lot of times, again, you have this long pitch, this whole note, everything's built up over top of it. But then, look here. Then we're doubling it, except we're not doubling it, we're harmonizing it. This note here, that's a low G. This note is 2 octaves above it. G would be here, here, and then here. That's a big distance. Okay, again, here's your foundation, everything's built on top of that. The most familiar round in canon that we know is row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, and then 2 people over from you start singing row, row, row your boat, except you're not. Merrily, 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 row, row, row your boat, life is but a dream. You have this going on. 3 people singing row, row, row your boat, then the next people wait 3 beats, 4 beats, and then they come in. And you have this. In your textbook, I believe it's on page 28, you'll see that very scenario that I was just singing. Okay, this is all part of texture. It's all part of the idea of major intervals, the idea of that major sound, the major texture, but it's also talking about the different types of form of music and textures that are involved. All right, so I think what we'll do is we'll stop this lecture here, let you digest this. We are now through chapter 5. Again, if you have any questions, warren.smith@rccc.edu is the email. The other big news of the week is that I'm going to move the test back 1 week. Originally it was going to open this Sunday, but with all the snow and everything, we haven't had a chance. Everyone's kind of gotten pushed back. So I will make an announcement on Blackboard in the announcement. But everything is going to be pushed back. There's some questions about the enrollment of some of the students in the hybrid classes. Those issues got to get squared away. So I'm going to be opening the exam on the 9th of February as opposed to the 2nd. And like I said, the material will still be chapters 1 through 11, and that is including the prelude at the beginning of the book and the how to listen to music. So this is the 2nd week's lecture, and I'll stop at this point, and then we'll go right into chapter 6, and we'll continue from there. All right, thanks. See ya.